Our area also remembering the victims of 9/11 today.
Today, Green Bay West High School students pay tribute to the heroes who lost their lives 22 years ago with their annual Memorial Stair Climb. Emily Riley shows us what this commemorative stair climb means to those who participated.
Although none of the students at Green Bay West had been born yet on the day of the September 11th attacks, on Monday they were able to imagine what it was like for first responders responding to the Twin Towers that tragic day.
Everybody on the special day of 9/11 had to climb those stairs. There was like 110 floors. Some of them couldn't even go down the stairs. They were like trapped.
Students like Kat Pastersky say the climb was emotional. Walking up and down bleachers helped them understand how difficult climbing the actual skyscraper would have been. A recruiter from the Wisconsin National Guard says they wanted to give students perspective.
We brought a couple of rucksacks that are pretty heavily weighted for the kids to put on so they get a little bit of a better experience as they're climbing up these bleacher stairs.
A crew from the Green Bay Metro Fire Department joined the students in their climb. Lieutenant Shauna Wallish says it's important for students to learn what happened that day.
I really hope that, one, they, kind of think about the people that maybe didn't make it out. They went up the stairs and didn't make it down, or the people that went into work that day and didn't make it out.
Lieutenant Wallish says she encourages children to ask grown-ups, parents, grandparents where they were the day of the terrorist attacks because most people have a unique memory of that day. Reporting in Green Bay, Emily Riley, Action 2 News.